Prince Harry certainly has a knack for making himself the centre of global attention. Harry is seemingly addicted to invading his privacy, invading the privacy of his friends and families, and appearing in public places and making sure that everyone talks about them. He's currently at the High Court in London.
Prince Harry's battle over his security continues. That apparently the Home Office does not want to extend security to Harry for political reasons.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could lose their bid for taxpayer-funded security in the UK due to concerns of a public backlash.
Actually pokes more holes in Harry's story and proves Prince Harry and Meghan Markle wrong.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourself in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour.
Everyone is talking about whether Harry won or lost his security case. Nobody is talking about what he actually wanted. And when you find out, and I promise you, most people have no idea, everything about the last 5 years suddenly makes complete sense.
Prince Harry did not win the main Ravik court case to get his automatic taxpayer-funded UK police protection reinstated. In 2020, after stepping back as a working royal and moving to the US, Ravik, the UK's Royal and VIP Executive Committee, removed his automatic top-level publicly funded police protection. Harry challenged that in court. He lost in the High Court in 2024.
Piers Morgan figured it out. And when he said it out loud, the whole country went quiet. Stay with me. This is the one that explains it all.
The stage of a court case is all about procedure. There are no witnesses, no evidence, no box office material. The hearings take place today and yesterday and could have passed without anyone really noticing, but Harry wanted everyone to see him.
Right. Let's start where everyone else stops. Harry lost his court case in May 2025. Court of Appeal. 3 judges. Unanimous. He does not get automatic taxpayer-funded police protection back.
Prince Harry has lost a legal challenge with the UK government over his security entitlements following his decision to step down from royal duties.
Everyone knows that bit. But here's what almost nobody in the mainstream press properly explained, and what Piers Morgan has been saying for months. This was never just about getting a few armed officers when Harry visits the UK. What Harry actually wants, what his whole campaign has been building toward, is something called IPP status, Internationally Protected Person status. And once you understand what that actually means, the entire story looks completely different.
Prince Harry has won a full security risk assessment following a major U-turn by the Home Office. So Prince Harry brought a high-profile legal claim against the government over the decision to remove his right to automatic taxpayer-funded security. What do you make of this? Could this actually pave the way for Harry to return to the UK with his children?
IPP status is normally reserved for heads of state, prime ministers, foreign ministers, and diplomats. It is the highest level of protection that exists anywhere in the world. And here's the critical part. If you hold IPP status, every single country you visit is legally obligated to provide you with top-level armed security. And they pay for it, not you, not the British taxpayer. Whatever country you happen to be standing in, they cover it.
It's official. Prince Harry really does want his internationally protected person status back, IPP. So this status allows him anytime he's in another country to get security funded by that government. Yes, oh yes, Harry is suing over this. Now, he claims it's just about how he is treated in the United Kingdom.
Think about what that means for Harry and Meghan. They travel constantly. Nigeria, Colombia, Jordan, Australia, Ukraine, the United States. If Harry holds IPP status, every one of those trips comes with a full government-funded security operation. The estimates for what that would save him range from $6 million a year to as much as $28 million, depending on how busy his schedule is.
However, what the Telegraph reveals in its recent article is that Harry is looking to see how other countries treat him based on his status via the UK. So if the UK reinstates his internationally protected person status back, that means potentially you and me as an American taxpayer, if you are an American watching this channel, or any other country Prince Harry goes, he should be able to get basically diplomatic level, VIP level security, essentially funded by that government.
And that is not all. IPP status also comes with something else. Diplomatic style financial protection. Foundations, money movements, income, far less scrutiny, far less transparency. Piers Morgan spotted this angle early. He said on his show, the incentive here is ego, primarily, but also finance.
For Harry and Meghan, the incentive seems to be international. Well, I think the incentive is ego primarily, but also finance, because international government level protection would dramatically reduce the cost of their private security. That would save the Sussexes millions of dollars.
International government level protection would dramatically reduce the cost of their private security and save the Sussexes millions of dollars every year.
He does not need that level of security because he is not part of that head of state status anymore. So if the UK government allows this, then they are on the hook. Everything Harry and Meghan are doing in many ways. It may cause problems with other governments because they're like, well, we had to cover the security for this Duke and Duchess of nothing who ran around, did a fashion show, did a couple of charity events. We didn't get any money for it. We got no discernible benefit from it. And so it will cause friction with other countries. This is a huge, massive problem.
When you look at it through that lens, the 5-year legal battle makes perfect sense. This was never a heartbroken son worried about bringing his children to see their grandfather safely. This was a calculated, long-term campaign to secure a status that would make Harry and Meghan effectively untouchable, financially and physically, anywhere on Earth. The court saw through it. Piers Morgan saw through it. And now you do too.
So the political side of the committee making this decision believes there is too much political risk, that people will rise up and be angry about having to fork up such a significant amount of money to protect these two. While the police and security chiefs believe that Harry absolutely must have, again, I'm quoting, must have increased security due to threats. Ultimately, Rita, what we think they want is IPP status. IPP stands for Internationally Protected Person. It's normally applied to presidents, prime ministers, and diplomats. If someone has been designated the IPP status, countries are obligated to provide heightened security protection for them, no matter what country it is.
Now here's the part that will genuinely surprise you, because this detail got almost zero coverage, and it completely demolishes Harry's entire argument. For 5 years, Harry complained loudly and publicly that he had not received a security risk assessment. He went on the BBC after losing his appeal and said it was outrageous that nobody had reviewed his threat level since 2020.
I love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff.
He made it sound like the government had simply abandoned him, left him exposed, refused to even look at the question. But here's what he didn't tell you. He could have requested an annual security assessment every single year since 2020. That option was available to him. It was open. All he had to do was ask. He never asked. Why? Because his own legal team told him not to. Requesting a fresh administrative review while simultaneously running a lawsuit, arguing the original review was illegal, would have completely undermined his court case. It would have been legally contradictory. You cannot sue to prove the system was broken while simultaneously using the system to get what you want.
It says Home Office tries to block new security for Prince Harry. Officials fear public outcry if Duke and Duchess of Sussex get taxpayer-funded protection. And so just as an aside for Harry and Meghan, who are not popular people, who's basically had a huge profile about them in Variety, basically telling the world they're crappy at their job and that nobody should take them seriously. Now you have all that together, and Prince Harry really thinks that people are going to be gun-ho to pay for his security in the UK, let alone anywhere abroad, is out of his mind. Just for his own public image, he should not pursue this.
So Harry chose the lawsuit. He chose 5 years of court battles, millions in legal fees, and constant public attacks on the palace over simply following the process that was there for him all along. And after he lost, after the courts definitively told him no, he finally did what he could have done in year 1. He wrote to the Home Secretary. He requested a fresh assessment. And lo and behold, a female stalker who had apparently approached him twice during a UK charity visit suddenly became the centerpiece of his security case.
Prince Harry apparently has a stalker, and he's using this to try to leverage the British government into giving him a larger protection apparatus. And this is just, of course, ridiculous. Every public figure pretty much has a stalker that they have to deal with from time to time. This is the burden of public life, one that Harry should know quite well.
One of the analysts whose content you may have seen put it plainly. Harry prioritized his lawsuit over his own security. His entire complaint that he hadn't been assessed for 5 years, his lawyer's decision, not the government's. Piers Morgan's reaction to all of this was withering. The man spent 5 years and a fortune of legal fees trying to prove the system was rigged against him, when he could have simply used the system. And now he wants credit for finally doing so.
That Harry's been very tenacious. He wouldn't let this go even though the court sort of overruled it. So he personally wrote to the Home Secretary to look at his security level. This was last done in 2018 and it was found that he was the highest security risk alongside 2 other people, and those 2 people were the Queen and the then British Prime Minister Theresa May. So he genuinely has a case for it being assessed.
Let's talk about this stalker, because this is where it gets very murky indeed. And the people who follow this story most closely are deeply skeptical. After losing his appeal in May 2025, Harry's path to getting security reinstated through the courts was finished. So he needed a new angle, something concrete, something that would force Ravek to conduct a fresh risk assessment. In September 2025, during a UK charity visit, a woman apparently got close to Harry twice. His camp described her as a stalker who had breached his security zone. They publicized every detail, leaked it widely to the press, made sure everyone knew about it.
And again, I'm just being careful because I don't know the legalities here and I don't want to get in super huge trouble or anything. But if you look back through the pictures from Alameda, you see a woman. And if you put in Prince Harry, it'll come up. And she looks a lot like this person. She has black hair and she also had little pearl stud earrings. And I feel like I can see those right there. So I'm just saying that might be the person. And she's literally right next to Harry, like right next to him at one point. And I was like, okay, so they had to body block this person as they claim to in here, and yet she's there. So what's the truth? So here we go. It says a known stalker came within feet of the Duke of Sussex on 2 separate occasions during his recent visit to the UK.
But here's the thing. The woman was never prosecuted, never charged, never arrested, and multiple reports identified her as a member of the Sussex Squad, Harry and Meghan's own devoted fan base, someone who had previously been photographed with them at events. Not an attacker. A fan.
Harry wasn't under threat on his last visit, as he claims. He had a female fan who had travelled the world to see him. God knows why, especially with those balding locks. God knows why. But for some reason, this female fan travels all over the world to get close to Prince Harry. There she is, a black woman it seems. He has many who do travel, including to Africa, to be with him, have never threatened him physically, have never had any weapons on them, have never threatened to shoot him or to bomb him or to do anything like that. But this has now been used by Harry's team in order to secure government-funded security.
The comparison being made repeatedly by people who cover this story is to the New York car chase in 2023, the incident where Harry and Meghan claimed they were involved in a near-catastrophic, hours-long pursuit by paparazzi. New York police said the chase lasted around 10 minutes and described it as a minor traffic incident. No injuries, no danger. A story that grew dramatically in the telling. Now we have a stalker who turns out to be a fan, who was never charged, who had been photographed with the couple before, and whose appearance, conveniently, gave Harry exactly the material evidence he needed to force a new security assessment.
The Telegraph can reveal the woman who may be suffering from mental health issues, if she isn't and she's just a fan, although I would say if you're a fan of Harry and Meghan, you may have mental health issues. You know, you're kind of smearing her right there a little bit, entered a secure zone at a central London hotel at which the Duke was attending the Well Child Awards on September 9th. 2 days later, she was spotted within a stone's throw of the Duke at the Center for Blast Injury Studies in West London, security sources said. She is said to have previously followed him to Nigeria.
Piers Morgan on his show made the point simply, if there was a real, serious, ongoing threat to Prince Harry's life, why would the police and security services be assessing this on a case-by-case basis at all? Why would there be debate about it? If someone was genuinely planning to assassinate a member of the royal family, the Met Police would not be splitting into factions over whether to act. They would act. The political side of the committee, according to reports, opposes granting security because of public backlash risk. The security side says there is a threat, but that split alone tells you something. Real, serious threats don't produce committee debates. They produce police action.
But then when this happened, it obviously irritated Harry to a great extent. He said in Oprah that he never in his wildest dreams thought that his security would be changed, which doesn't really make sense. To put it in perspective, isn't really saying a lot, because Harry was also surprised that his dad stopped giving him an allowance in his 30s. But at this point, Harry decided to sue the Home Office, claiming that it was unfair that he lost his automatic police protection, and his lawsuit was alleging that there was some flaw in the process of how they decided, that they used irregular decision-making processes, or that they were influenced by the royal family's representative on the Ravik committee, or something of that nature, that they were unlawful in their decision-making process.
Here is where Piers Morgan absolutely lost his patience. And honestly, it's hard to blame him. While Harry's lawyers were in a London courtroom arguing their client's life was in constant danger every time he set foot on British soil, Harry himself boarded a plane to Ukraine, an active war zone. No announcement, no visible armed security. Just Harry wandering around a country currently being bombed, visiting veterans. Piers went straight to X. So, hypocrite Harry flies straight from a British court where he is suing for more protection in UK because it's too dangerous for him, to a war zone in Ukraine. He really is as dumb as a rock.
There has been media reports, especially in late 2025 and early 2026, saying that the Home Office has ordered a fresh threat assessment. Ravik has reviewed his security again, and there were discussions about possibly restoring automatic armed protection. But all those reports about reviews and internal discussions, not the original court case, being one.
But Ukraine was just the most dramatic example. Because the list goes on, Harry has visited Nigeria, where Boko Haram operate in the north. He has been to Colombia, to Jordan, to Mexico. He has wandered around London on his own, reportedly knocking on strangers' doors looking for a friend. He turned up randomly at a wedding. He attended events, came and went, with no visible armed protection around him at all. And people noticed, because on the very same trips where his lawyers were telling courts his life was at risk, Harry himself seemed entirely unbothered, entirely comfortable, entirely relaxed about his personal safety, as long as he was the one choosing the destination.
Most of the countries that she visited did give her really high levels of security because of the scale and the scope and all of that. No country wants to be the one that didn't provide enough security to a high-profile person and make it seem like an unsafe place. So, Harry publicizing these things so extensively in the fall, some people thought it was a little bit of a conspiracy, that maybe it was sort of a setup so that Harry could publicize it to make it look like there was heavier attention and public responsibility on Harry's security situation than is realistic. This, of course, feels very unsatisfactory to many people of the public and royal watchers. Looking at the situation, Harry is deeply unpopular and he has been whining about security for 5 years in a manner that does not endear him to anyone. People probably wouldn't care if his status went one way or the other had he not made such big public tantrums about it in such an entitled way that leads people to want the security withheld from him on principle at this point.
The argument Piers makes, and it is very hard to counter, is straightforward. A man who genuinely believed his life was in danger would not volunteer to visit active war zones, travel to countries with known terrorism problems, and knock on strangers' doors in London, unannounced. The fear, in other words, appears to be highly selective. After Harry lost his appeal and went on the BBC, Piers Morgan didn't just criticize him. He made a demand. He called on King Charles to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles immediately. Not reduce them, not review them, strip them.
Well, I think as a couple, they've made a conscious decision to put themselves out there. And I think there's something else that Harry can't control, which is what do people think about him. And if you look at the polls on Harry and Meghan, and I spend a lot of my time looking at the polls, well, I've never seen a brand collapse this hard, this quickly. Since the end of last year, both Harry and Meghan are down 40 points. We've just had a poll in America which shows he's less popular now than Prince Andrew in America. Right. So as a brand,
and
I think...
anecdotally, I've been bouncing this latest thing off people. They're like, get me straight, he's flown all the way from LA for a part of the process he doesn't need to be at, just to be in the papers, going through the front entrance, and he's laughing.
Yeah.
What kind of thing is he thinking he's representing here? What image is he putting forward?
He pointed to what he called the Andrew Rule, the precedent set in October 2025, when Charles removed Prince Andrew's titles after his scandal. Piers' argument, an established mechanism now exists. If your behavior damages the monarchy, the titles go. He posted on X, "The king must strip Harry and Meghan of their titles ASAP. They are never going to stop attacking him, the monarchy, and the royal family, all while simultaneously enriching themselves from their royal status."
I think they think they're the underdogs going up against the system.
But the public won't see that. They're in the middle of a cost of living crisis we haven't had in 100 years.
But I
don't
think,
think there's going to be any sympathy, honestly, I don't, for Harry right now.
Is he looking for sympathy? I mean, he's not the only one who's made...
Well, he's looking for vengeance.
Well, he's not the only one who's very visible in this. And as you mentioned, there are other people, David Furnish,
Elton John and Doreen Lawrence.
Doreen Lawrence?
Yeah.
If Doreen Lawrence is pretty much saying exactly the same thing as Harry, and I'm sorry, with Doreen Lawrence, that infuriates me. Now, everybody is saying the same thing.
It's despicable. And then, even more pointedly, he trashed his family as Prince Philip was dying. He trashed his family as the Queen was dying. And now he's trashing his family as both his father and sister-in-law have been battling cancer. Is there a more contemptible public figure in the world? What made this land so hard was the timing. Harry's BBC interview, where he said he didn't know how much longer his father had to live, aired the same day he lost his appeal. The same day he called the courts an establishment stitch-up. The same day he accused the palace of behaving like the institutions that preyed upon my mother. In one interview, one single afternoon, he expressed devastation, called for reconciliation, accused his father of blocking his safety, invoked Diana's death, and blamed the establishment.
If he wins this, Harry, Meghan still won't want to come to the UK because it has nothing to do with security and everything to do with the fact that she hates the country you came from, she hates your family, she hates the British people, she hates anything that doesn't go her way. So even if he wins, he will lose because she still won't allow him to go. They still won't take the kid because she does not want to go. That's the truth there that Harry fails to acknowledge. Again, all of this is pointless. He's wasting millions of dollars potentially for a case that's never probably going to go his way to please a wife who's never going to be pleased. And so this whole thing is again point. And even if he wins, they'll probably adjust the rules and amend and take it away from him again because he can't justify this. Again, even if he claims he'll pay for it, I bet you bottom to dollar that the UK taxpayers will be on the line. And if the truth again is that he gets that internationally protected person status back, Meghan and Harry are free to demand any country they visit give them a massive, massive security detail.
Piers called it exactly what he believes it is, an emotional con artist at work. For what it's worth, the British public agrees with Piers more than Harry might like. A YouGov poll found 62% of people in Britain now support stripping the Sussex titles. That is up from 45% 2 years ago. That is not a fringe opinion. That is the majority view. There is one more thing Piers Morgan keeps raising that gets less attention than it deserves, and it is arguably the most serious point of all. Harry's campaign is not happening in a vacuum. It is happening at a time when the British monarchy is under more pressure than it has been in decades. The Andrew scandal, questions about peppercorn rents and royal finances, a growing Republican movement, public frustration with the cost of the institution. In that environment, Harry demanding taxpayer-funded security while living in a Montecito mansion, earning millions from Netflix, charging $30 for therapy live streams, and suing newspapers is not just personally damaging. It is potentially damaging to the entire institution.
Of whether he does have security when he comes to the UK. If in fact he then gets it, as you point out, will it then be incumbent on him to bring Meghan and his grandchildren? Because that's always been his reason for not bringing them back. And I think the fact that Thomas Markle is in hospital and the whole relationship breakdown there, it's more important than ever that Harry's being seen to engage with Britain and the family that he was, born into and raised with.
Piers made the point on his show. If Harry's campaign leads to a broader collapse of public support for the monarchy, there will be nothing left to fight over. No security to demand, no titles to keep, no institution to rejoin on a part-time basis. The very thing Harry keeps invoking to justify his demands, his royal status, his princely identity, could be undermined by the demands themselves. Meanwhile, William's position, according to every source, is the same, non-negotiable. He is not forgiven. He is not interested in a reconciliation roadmap. A former royal aide described his stance as simply, "What Harry and Meghan are doing is a deal breaker." And King Charles, desperate, reportedly pushing quietly for peace, not having seen his grandchildren Archie and Lilibet since 2022, is caught in the middle, battling cancer, running out of time. And his younger son is in California, filing court documents and leaking stalker stories to the press.
I think this is a case of Harry living in a fantasy. He wants something to be real so badly. He wants to be as important as his brother is, so incredibly bad that I think Harry sort of makes himself crazy over it. He deludes himself so much because he just so desperately wants to be essentially the Prince of Wales. He wants to have that authority. He wants to have that respect that his brother does. But Harry just doesn't seem to understand that unfortunately is not his role in life. And there's nothing in particular wrong with the role of being the spare. You can see it as a blessing, but Harry sees it as a curse, and he sees himself as important or more important than his brother, and that's just simply not fact.
Here is where we are right now. Harry never wanted just a few armed officers in London. He wanted a status that would make him untouchable worldwide and make every country on Earth pay for the privilege of hosting him. The court said no. Piers Morgan said it loud, and the clock on King Charles is ticking. Piers's full reaction is on screen right now. Go and watch it. Everything he said makes a lot more sense now that you know what was actually at stake. See you in the next one.